You might think that the workplace in China is no different from other places, but if you actually step inside, you realize it's a completely different world. When I was 18, I walked into a factory for the first time, and that day I finally understood what reality really meant. Hi everyone, I'm John, an ordinary man living and working in Guangdong. Today, I want to take you into my world and show you how an ordinary working man started his very first job. From the age of 18 until now, I've worked for 22 years. Over these 22 years, I've changed jobs 7 times and even tried starting my own business once. But looking back, what left the deepest impression on me was still my very first job. In October 2003, I still had more than a semester left before graduation, and the school sent us to Guangdong early, calling it an internship. There were more than 100 of us going together. Before we left, I had seen the company's recruitment poster, a listed company with more than a dozen branches and a very fancy office building. At that time, I thought this would be a great starting point. On that day, we set off. We took a train for a full day and night to Guangzhou, then switched to a bus to reach the city where the factory was located. On the way, I began to feel something was off. The closer we got, the more remote the surroundings became. When I finally stood at the company gate, I froze. The fancy building on the poster wasn't here at all. Later, I found out that the building was at the headquarters, and the place I came to was just a factory, a manufacturing factory running 24 hours non-stop. During training the next day, they talk about development, patents, and policies. At that moment, I even thought I worked hard here, but when I stepped into the workshop, I was completely stunned. The huge metal factory building, the presses banging loudly, dust everywhere, in the air, on the floor, on the shelves, all covered in gray. You had to wear a mask to work. Yes, it was a factory dealing with metal powder processing. I was assigned to the molding department, the noisiest department in the entire company. The presses kept pounding, not stopping for a second. On my first day, the supervisor handed me gloves, a mask, and a uniform. I felt like a machine being told what to do. The team leader told me what to do, and I did it. Because I was new, I didn't know anything. I worked in this department for a week from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day. But after work every day, I felt like I had crawled out of another world. My whole body was covered in dust. Even inside the mask, my nose was full of dust. Sometimes I wondered, had I already inhaled some of the raw materials? But that wasn't even the worst part. After a week, I was moved to another process, the dirtiest and most exhausting area of the whole factory. There, we had to mix metal powder, add glue, and stir, and then make it into tiny granules. At that time, I had only one thought. This isn't a factory. This is basically hell on earth. It was here that my new job truly began. Every day, I put on my mask before entering the workshop and didn't take it off until the end of the shift. When I took off the mask, it left a very clear mark on my face. My entire body was covered in dust. Even inside my underwear, it was unavoidable. Every time I showered, the water running off was as muddy as rainwater in a river. Only after showering did I feel like a human being again. Only then could I eat. And in this department, we also had night shifts, 3 shifts, each 8 hours long. The night shift was the hardest. From midnight until 8 a.m., the machine couldn't stop, and neither could we. If you nodded off, you could be pulled into the machines. Fortunately, I only stayed there for a year. After a year, my senior moved me to another department. Looking back, that year was in my 22 years of work, the hardest, the dirtiest, and most unforgettable period. Later, I followed my senior to another department, and the environment was much cleaner. I also had the chance to go 10 kilometers away to the headquarters to study. There, I saw the building from the recruitment poster for the first time. Every time I saw it, I remember how covered in dust I had been. You might think after following my senior, my work would slowly get better, but it didn't. In this company, I slowly realized one thing, which is relationships matter far more than skills. Once, I assigned a task to a colleague and he ignored me. I told my supervisor about it, but to my surprise, my supervisor told me to endure it. At that moment, I truly realized this company wasn't a place where hard work alone could change your fate. Later, I gradually discovered that many managers and technical staff were connected to the general manager. Some were relatives, some were friends, and they brought their relatives and friends in layer by layer, forming a huge network of connection. For people like me, outside this network, it was nearly impossible to get promoted because their people were already lined up waiting. At that moment, I began to doubt one thing. Why had it become like this? Because the general manager of the company was neither a shareholder nor the owner. He was just a professional manager. So, something he simply wouldn't consider. In 2006, I left this company. By the time I left, the classmates and alumni who came with me had almost all left. Only one person was still holding on. Later, I heard the company was sold by the headquarters. That was my first job. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to my channel and I'll continue to show you my work and life in China.